Hey, it's Bryan.
Hey, it's Barry.
And welcome to another episode of the Collecti-Bros podcast. On this episode, another Is It Worth It? Topic is Castlevania Dracula X for the Super Nintendo. I picked this one up because I try to do at least one of my bigger heavy hitter games a year. This will be my top 3 games we've done episodes on, so at the current time of this recording, this is my number 1 most expensive game as far as price goes. Also, I picked this one up not too long ago. If you guys are listeners, you remember when I did that, and I think people, as soon as I picked it up, kind of knew this was going to be an episode in the future. And
it was about a year ago now, yeah?
Yeah, something like that. So we went on that trip, and was happy to grab it, but I think a lot of y'all knew it was coming. Before we get started, please check us out on social media. We are at Collecti-Bros Pod on all socials. Like and subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. It helps. Please and thank you. Let's get into it. This game was developed and published by Konami, obviously like all Castlevanias. It was released in July 1995 in Japan, September 1995 in the United States, February 96 in PAL. PAL always gets screwed. They always get everything last. And at the time, it was released exclusively for the Super Nintendo. There's obviously other ways to play it now. I think we'll get into that a little more when we talk about the price and collectability. An interesting fact about this game is that the Japanese version, the US version, and the PAL version all have different names. It's Akamaju Dracula XX, which loosely translates to Demon Castle Dracula XX in Japan. Obviously, here in the States, it's Castlevania Dracula X. And I actually like the PAL name a lot. It's Castlevania Vampire's Kiss, and the artwork and stuff's really cool over there. But they all have different box arts, all different labels, all different start screens. Pretty interesting aspects for the collectability side of things and the pricing, but we will get there. This game it's kind of had a misconstrued reception at launch. I don't want to say this is like a port of Rondo of Blood because it's not. It's more of a reimagining, right? For you guys that don't know, Castlevania Rondo of Blood was a PC Engine exclusive, PC Engine CD, in Japan, and it's heralded as one of the best Castlevania games. It's the prequel to Symphony of the Night, and everyone that doesn't even know anything about Castlevania knows what Symphony of the Night is for the series. So it's like a beloved game, and this game, Dracula X, shares the same story, but there is some slight changes. They basically don't give Maria or Annette, your girlfriend, Richard's girlfriend, they don't give her a surname, so the changes are so slight, it doesn't really matter. It's almost identical. But the level design is completely different. The art style is completely different. It's not fair to compare both these games. I'll just go ahead and say that right off the bat. Completely different hardware, completely different limitations of said hardware. It's not... I think when this, so looking up online, obviously wasn't alive, but looking up online, when the magazines and we're talking about this game coming out, they're like, oh, we're finally getting Rondo of Blood in the United States, and it's going to be on the Super Nintendo because we don't have a PC Engine. But that's kind of the wrong framing, and this game took a lot of flack along release because people were expecting Rondo, and it turns out you're not getting Rondo, you're getting Dracula X. Recent times, I've even doing some research for some backstory and stuff for this game. Seems like there's a lot of people out there defending it now, which news to me because even before I had my copy, I was like, this is kind of like the black swan of Castlevania games, and trying to let alone find one, but find somebody to say something positive about was actually pretty difficult. But now it seems to have taken a turn in modern times. It's kind of an interesting evolution cycle for this game.
So how is this not Rondo of Blood? Because it looks exactly the same.
Yeah, the cover art's even super similar.
It looks exactly the same.
Yeah, so if you look at some of the, interior, the clock tower is a good example. The colors are, really, really muted. And even on the remake, so Rondo of Blood XX or whatever it is for the PSP, all the colors are super dark. The level layout's completely different. The maps are different. There is more alternating paths. There is more stages in Rondo. Obviously, there's less, because the Super Nintendo's hardware. But I think a common misconception of this game is that it's a straight up port or a remake. It's more of a different interpretation or a remaster. So when Konami released their official timeline of the series, when what's the God of War Castlevania? Lord of Shadows. When Lord of Shadows came out, they released an official timeline, and this is a non-canon game since then. Originally, it was part of canon because we didn't have Rondo here in the States, But when they course corrected and it was a little more readily available, it's not part of canon anymore.
I'm still confused on how this isn't Rondo of Blood.
So you remember the opening stage for... That's what it looks like in Rondo. So it's
the same game.
Yes and no.
It's the same plot.
It's like that monster's not even in it.
Right? So it's the same plot.
It's like a reimagining.
It's the same game.
It's not really the same game.
Okay.
Like there's different monsters, the level layout's different. It's the same story.
Okay. Continue. I'm still gonna dig. I am undecided on if I agree with you or not.
I mean, that's the thing. There's always been that discourse for this game, right? And my opinion, I'm in the party that it's not fair to compare the two. Because I mean, even look at the Final Form Dracula. Like, look at this shit. It's not even the same fight. Like, it's a completely different layout. Well, spoiler: the Rondo fight's actually fun. This one's not. There's a lot of differences. There's enough that makes a difference. It's badass dragons in Rondo. We don't get this badass dragon. There's whole sections of the game that just are secluded, and even like the similar levels. Like the setting, rather, the layout's completely different. You can almost say, I guess, this is like the US version of Rondo if you want to get...
Yeah, but what's Dracula X Chronicles?
That's the PSP remake that has Symphony on it also. The 3D one.
Chronicles? Mm-hmm. You sure that's on the PSP? I thought that was the PS1.
Oh, wait, Chronicles, yeah, that's the original... Sorry, that's the original Castlevania remake. So the first game.
Dracula X Chronicles. Okay, this Dracula X Chronicles is the PSP one.
Yeah.
It's the Rondo of Blood remake.
Right. That's the 2.5D one.
Okay.
On PSP. Not a bad way to play the game.
It was remade for the Super Nintendo as Castlevania Dracula X.
Like, my opinion of a port, it's like you're not going to completely change the level design, enemy locations, enemy types.
It just says it's a remake.
It could be.
They're the same game, Brian.
They're definitely not.
They're the same game.
Definitely not.
You know how Final Fantasy VII and the Final Fantasy VII remake is still the same game?
I wouldn't say that. They changed story elements, a completely different playing.
It's the same
style
game.
Of play. Oh man,
it's the same game.
Woo. It's up for debate.
It's two different versions of the same game.
That's a better way to put it, I guess.
This is like, okay, I don't know. We're not even in the story yet. We're cutting back. Okay, we're cutting back here. This is the same game. It's got the same main character. It's got the same cast. It's got the same plot. It's got the same number of levels, right?
No, Rondo's got more levels.
Rondo's got more, so it's cut. So they've just cut it.
Well, and there's different branching paths. The layout's completely different. Different
it's
enemies.
It's a remake of the same game.
Reimagining.
No, you can't use different words for the same thing.
I would say it's not the same game. I would say there's definitely similarities, but Rondo's a better game, spoiler.
But it's still inherently the same game. It's not a different Castlevania.
It's like a non-canon event, this one is. Because Rondo's like in line with canon, even like the ending's a little different.
Okay, would you call this game closer to Rondo of Blood or Symphony of the Night?
Rondo of
Blood. It's the same game!
Sure. Rondo of Blood for sure. Yeah.
It's the same game, just with a whole different
because
coat
even
of paint.
like so the start of Symphony of the Night is the ending of Rondo of Blood. It's like this never even happens in the timeline. So it's
well, I know the timeline's fucky, so we're not talking about that.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah, we're definitely not doing
would you say, okay, how about I put it in perspective like this? You have Rondo of Blood and you have Symphony of the Night, and then you've got Dracula X. Mm-hmm. Does Dracula X branch from one of them, or is it its own game?
I would say it's standalone.
You would say it's standalone?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's crazy talk. It's the same game.
You could make the argument it's a remake, reimagining, however you want to word it. I'm not going to sit here and yell at somebody for thinking that way.
It's the same concept as your Bubble Dragon games.
Dude, that thing is a crazy rabbit hole, bro. I would say for me, after playing this one and playing Rondo, I'm like, I could see where there's similarities, sure, but they both stand on their own and have their own merits. I think that's the best way to put it.
But it's the same game.
It can be.
You know how
and
you might be really experienced in this, right? But you know how twins are like the same thing, but like they're two different people.
We're getting awful meta here,
right? Twins are two different people, but they're also the same.
Same DNA, just different.
Just two different people. Yeah. That's what this game is.
This is the same DNA.
This is the same game.
Hardware.
Same DNA, same game, but two different people. All right. That's that.
No, I'm not going to criticize anybody for thinking that way. I could see this, especially on the outside looking in, like there's definitely there. But as a Castlevania fan, a purist, this game has some merit to stand on its own. We'll dig into that a little bit as we go on. But I can see the argument. Let's talk about the story because, you know, there's always a ton of meat in the bone on Super Nintendo Dracula vampire games. Talking about the story and where this game falls into and all that, we already briefly touched on the timeline, but this is a non-canon game because of Rondo existing. They made a streamlined timeline once The Lord of Shadows came out. Sorry, God, why do I always forget that one? It's the most forgettable Castlevania game, that's why.
I forget the DS one more.
Aria, Sorrow, or... There's 3 of them.
No, the 3DS one.
They all have similar... Oh, Mirror of Fate.
That one.
Yeah, I think everyone forgets that one.
Wait, isn't that a Lord of Shadows
Yeah,
spin-off?
it's a spin-off.
Okay,
Yep.
never mind.
Dude, it's unrelated, but I was so hyped when that came out because I'm like, oh, cool, we're getting like a classic Castlevania again. Bought that shit. Not great. Not great. But anyways, so interesting note here. This game takes place during the same time as Rondo being reimagined in the year 1792. So this is after the first 3 Castlevania games on NES. And once you start it up and the screen scrolling, it gives you the time. It says hundreds of years have passed, but in Rondo it says exactly 100 years have passed.
We're not talking about Rondo.
We're not getting there yet. All right, so 100 years after, or hundreds of years have passed through Castlevania 3. I don't want to spoil Castlevania 3, but, you know, Dracula gets defeated. The whole premise of the main Castlevania games is every 100 years, Dracula and Castlevania, his castle, appear, and there's a descendant of the Belmonts, and they've got to stop them. Like, let's just cut to the chase right there. It's what it is. You got to beat Dracula. So in this one, Dracula is resurrected. He's basically 100 years in the future. He's like, okay, Simon's clearly not around anymore. I'm going to get my revenge on the Belmonts. Who's the next descendant? Richard Belmont's the next descendant. If you guys have watched...
That was Richter.
Richter, excuse me, you're right.
Okay.
I'm stupid. Big Castlevania fan. If you guys have watched the Netflix anime, Castlevania Nocturne, same guy. That's who we're talking about here. Obviously, clearly descendant of Simon. Dracula turns into Mr. Steal Your Girl. He decides to steal your girlfriend, Annette, and her little sister, Maria.
So Bowser?
Yeah, he's pretty much Dracula Bowser.
Okay, so this is just Mario.
Yep, with vampires.
Okay.
He ends up locking up in their castle. Obviously, Richter, being the good guy he is, he's like, oh, I can't let that slide. I got to go get him and save him.
Bowser's castle.
Gotta get Dracula. Dracula goes away. You know, nothing crazy here. That's the premise of Castlevania. You gotta stop Dracula. Woo, who saw that coming? One interesting about the story for this game, though, is that there is multiple endings based on if you do save Maria and Annette. So there's branching paths in this game. So now we're getting the gameplay a little bit. But you can basically find keys, and there's locked doors, and you can activate the door, you can free them, and based on whether you save Maria and let Annette die, there's an ending where Simon and her walk away, and it's kind of like somber. If you save both of them, you know, you and Annette embrace. Maria just watches, like, okay, there's not a lot of meat on the bone for ending here. The Belmont family always wins, spoiler alert. But it is cool that they actually added multiple endings. It kind of adds that replayability. There's multiple paths. There's different stages. That's a cool thing they didn't have to do. There's not a ton of meat on the bone. I'm good at picking games like this. But I think this is important because this is an introduction to like a beloved character in the series. Obviously he's an important role in Symphony. There's a lot of really cool lore stuff that come from this game, and it's kind of like a seedling that gets planted, and it's not fully bloomed yet. But the Castlevania lore is awesome. I think the Netflix show does like a great job if you guys are more interested in that, like just a more digestible level instead of just reading or watching a long-form YouTube video. Unless it's one of ours, of course. But, Lord of Shadows kind of expands even more, and it's kind of its own universe. But there's some really cool stuff in here, man. This is kind of the seeds of the beginning of Castlevania.
All right, so hear me out.
Yeah.
Castlevania is a Mario ripoff. What came first?
Mario, probably, I'm assuming.
By 1 year. Yeah. And then magically, Castlevania comes out the next year.
I mean, yeah, dude. Spooky. There are ghosts. There's ghosts in both of them. I mean, there's an argument to be made that Castlevania is just a remake of Mario. With a, different set of eyes on it. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, bro,
Check out my deep dive video on
We're
YouTube.
gonna iceberg.
I'm gonna iceberg it.
Get to the bottom of it.
Everything's just from Mario. What's that thing where we're all from crabs?
What? I don't know this one.
You don't know this one? No. There's like that theory that we're all from crabs. Oh, I got it backwards. Everything evolves into crabs.
Into crabs.
Yes.
It's like crab people from South Park.
Yes, it's animals keep evolving into crabs. It's called carciniz. Oh my gosh, can I pronounce this word? Carcinization. Convergent evolution in which non-crab crustaceans evolve a crab-like body plan. So now people are saying, as a joke, we just evolve into crabs.
I'm about to, immediately after we're done recording this, is the next thing I'm deep diving. Don't be surprised if we get a crab episode.
So anyways, alright, everything evolves from Mario, just in the alternative we evolve.
Honestly, like action adventure game, it's not a crazy statement. You know what I mean? Like,
takes the girl.
Scrolling games.
Puts him into the castle. There's like fire pits and fireballs and
ghosts.
Baddies.
Minions. It's not a crazy statement when you just, sit there and hot takes on the Collecti-Bros
I'm just
podcast.
saying. Why do you think Mario survived longer?
It's the mustache.
It's the mustache. Yeah. Richter didn't have a mustache?
Nope. Clean shave boy. Old Vlad Tempish has some sweet facial hair though. You do get a cool scrolling cutscene at the game. It's or for the intro. Pretty cool to see on an NES game. You don't get that too often. It's almost like an arcade where it starts before the start button. It's like kind of done in like comic book style too, which is pretty cool. It's really bright colors, super interesting for Castlevania of all games. But yeah, not a ton of meat in the bones here. There's not much more to say about the story. You got anything else for the story? Because I fucking don't. Nope,
just that if you want to know more about where the story came from, look up Mario. And to the gameplay.
To the crabs.
Let's
just skip to the crabs.
Two crabs.
Put my fucking drink out. Oh my god.
Hey, I'm slowly getting there. This spine, this spine's starting to curl.
It's starting to get fucking hard like a fucking shell.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
We calcify. Why do we calcify? Why do we just suddenly have calcification deposits inside of our bodies? I mean, like, our genes haven't figured out to put the calcifications on the outside of our skin yet, but,
It's true.
Speaking of the nails, nails are the start, and it's going to start encroaching over the rest of our bodies.
This is horribly unrelated, but it is sort of related. Like, this has nothing to do with Castlevania. I don't care. It's funny. I saw a meme that was like, if you think about it, you're just a brain controlling a mech skeleton.
Yep.
It's going to eventually turn into a crab. Let's go.
Yep. Just put the brain in the crab.
This got off the rails. Let's talk about the gameplay and controls. Alright, so again, I'm not going to sit here and compare this to Rondo the whole time. I don't think that's fair. This game can stand on its own merits, and there is something interesting when they went into designing this game. They decided that they're going to make it play like a traditional Castlevania game, not so much like a Metroidvania. Obviously, Symphony was the first one that took that style, but Rondo kind of planted the seeds with the branching paths and whatnot, and going back and multiple weapons and all that stuff. So, if you think about this game as a classicvania, like an NES-style game on the SNES, even though Castlevania 4 was already out at the time, but that was like a deliberate attempt to be like, let's push the Super Nintendo to its limit. Like, for you guys that don't know, Castlevania 4, even now, is like fucking nuts that it's even on a Super Nintendo. Like, it's got crazy Mode 7 stuff, the controls are wild, the sprites are huge, like, it was basically a showcase for the Super Nintendo. They went off the rails, and even no other Castlevania game plays like Super Castlevania 4. This one plays very much like the NES Castlevania games. So if you enjoy those, I think you're probably going to enjoy this game, honestly. When it came out, it got so much hate for being like a step back because it wasn't like Castlevania 4. We talked about that in the intro a little bit. People just wanted this to be Rondo so bad. And, I think it's, of the times, obviously, it wasn't accessible back then. Rondo wasn't accessible. Like, you had to be rich to import shit back then. Like, people didn't just go on eBay and buy a PC Engine. Even now, it's like, not a lot of people don't because it's expensive. I don't know anybody with a PC Engine. Wish I had one. But it's people expected this to be a 1-for-1 port, remake, whatever you want to call it. And it's not. It stands on its own. There's some cool things that this does in terms of like advancing the basic Castlevania gameplay. And if, Castlevania is an action game. You scroll left to right. You might go up and down some stairs. You might jump over some platforms. You're whipping things along the way. This one had some really cool movement options. So like middle of combat, you can backflip, which was also in Rondo. But it's really easy to do too. You just crouch and then double tap A and you'll do an evasive maneuver, or you can speedrunners use it constantly. It's pretty cool because like even Super doesn't do that. There's not a lot of movement options in Super other than the swinging. But one interesting thing that this game does do that speedrunners do love, Castlevania is notorious for like how difficult it is when you get hit, you get knocked back. It's like the most notorious game for knockback. You can negate all that by crouching in this one. There's so many little things that this game does compared to other Castlevania games that makes it stand out. Like there's no other Castlevania game that does that. And like, yeah, this game's difficult. Like I think we'll talk about that a little bit. It's very difficult, but there's things that you can do to like bypass that, which yeah, every game kind of this era does that, but built in inherently through like the controls is pretty interesting take. I think like they designed this as a kind of like souped up original Castlevania game, which is really cool because I'm a huge fan of the original NES Castlevania games more than anything, honestly. As far as like the difficulty, what was your experience with that? Because I know like even...
Dude, don't ask me about Super Nintendo difficulty. Yeah. I think every single game on the Super Nintendo is fucking hard. Yeah. All right, if it's a side scroller, I can't even make it past first boss.
Well, like Nintendo difficulty is like literally a phrase, you know what I mean? Like people say that. And this game, I would say is even harder.
Shit was just as hard as Metal Gear. It was hard as
Spawn.
Metal
Gear, bro. Yeah.
It's hard to spawn. How was so if you die, what happens in this game?
There are checkpoints, thankfully.
So... Because I only made it to old boy Cerberus Dog, and then he got my ass beat, and I was like, bro, I can't do this. I had to watch a video. All right.
Admittedly,
Anytime we do a Super Nintendo, that's how I'm going to play this game. I'm going to give it a good shot, but, like, I'm not making it to the end, okay? So, like, if you make it to level, like, 4, right, and you die, do you start at the beginning of stage 4?
No, there's checkpoints in the level.
There's checkpoints in the level, and then if you turn off the game...
There's a password system.
Okay.
Yep. Which, I mean, it's a long password with, like, symbols and shit, but it's there,
Then, like, if it's got a password system and a checkpoint system, I'm not going to bitch and moan about the difficulty.
It's fair.
If the game builds a method for you to get back to a point, like, it's like, congratulations, you made it past all this bullshit, like, let's still continue on, so you want to keep playing, that's fine, that's dandy, it's great, I'm not going to complain about how hard it is. That's just how it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I'll play the game because I just don't like these kinds of games. Yeah. But as far as the difficulty, if it has a system for me to be like, okay, if I can just make it to this point and then go get groceries and come back and not have to start at level 1 because it wants to eat my quarters, like, I'd be more inclined to play a game like that. I think it has more replayability for me.
For sure.
It's not, I don't want to say... an artificial replayability where it forces your hand into replaying it so many times simply because it doesn't lend you the opportunity of progressing and really staying there, right? There's games where, and I can't list them off the top of my head, you probably have better examples, but you can get all the way to the second to last level and you die and you have to start at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
If you have no continues or lives left over, you're fucking toast.
Yeah, I don't like those.
Right? And those are built for arcade. Like, especially in this generation, we've talked about it so many times. This generation is built for arcades because that's what was the popular mode of playing games because no one, owning a home console wasn't really common. Mm-hmm. So, okay, we have a home console now. What's the easiest method of getting games onto it? Oh, let's make fucking ports. Just like anytime a new console comes out, we're going to have goddamn remasters for the first 4 years of it.
Yep.
And that's just kind of how it goes. Like, that's always how it is. Oh, the Switch 2 is coming out? What games do we have on it that are new? A total of probably 2?
Yeah.
And then everything's a fucking port. Like, that's just how it is. We can't afford anything else, so let's just port the old shit. Because nobody's had time to make games yet.
Yeah.
Okay? So, that generation, everything, and it was even worse because everything is on arcade, and that's the style of every single game on arcade is like, okay, why would you, if the idea of getting games onto a home console is speed, right? We're putting this console out. We need this. We need the games. We don't have time to remake them. We need to put them out as they are. We're gonna get pretty close to how an arcade works. Continue, and then it has a countdown, and it's waiting for quarters that you can't shove into it. So, you know, like Mortal Kombat's a great example. Yeah. So this game not having that system, I'm more inclined to want to play those kinds of games. Yeah. Because I feel more challenged, but also more rewarded. It's not just some like bullshit like, oh, I don't have any fucking quarters left to play. Because like, if I had quarters left to play, I'd be shoving quarters in there.
Right.
Right? So...
Now you just jam start.
Yeah, no, I just have to jam start, and then if I shut the game off, I'm fucked.
Right.
You know?
So for clarity, for me playing this game, like I tried playing it on the fucking cartridge, because I have cartridges of this game. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to beat this if I play cartridges. So I played it on the advanced collection where I was able to rewind. That's why you're able to watch this YouTube video. It's the only way I'm going to beat this damn game, like full disclosure. I'm not bad at Castlevania, but this one... It's weird for me because all I read about is like, oh my god, this game's so hard. It's the Dark Souls of Castlevania. Ugh. And there's points where there is unfair. Like there's this one particular instance I can think of on the second level. There's a knight at the bottom of a staircase, and you can't use your sub weapon to like hit him down. So you have to get hit by him because you're on a staircase. It won't let you throw the holy water at him. So it's like I have to get hit by this guy, but you can learn he bounces you. He hits you back if you're standing up, so you can just get away from him. Like, yeah, you're gonna take one hit. Okay. There's a couple of instances of the Medusa heads, but there's also the trick, like every Castlevania game, if you jump, they spawn higher than you, so you can just duck under them. The best way I can describe it, this game's difficult, and I think it's because of the enemy placement, but it gives you tools you need to be able to overcome those difficulties, right? If you learn the patterns of the Medusas, if you know, you do have certain sub-weapons. Like, you might have to replay it a couple times. You have to load your checkpoint. But after, especially, I beat it twice. Second playthrough, I was like, this is not as bad as everyone says it is. And granted, I had rewinds, sure. But if I sat there and dedicated, 10, 20 hours to it like you would for a game you owned back then, you could do it. That's not that much harder than... Castlevania 3 is tough, bro. Like,
yeah, I think it's so... Was this game, like, when it came out, right? Were the magazines or the websites or anything like that saying this was a really hard game?
Yes.
They were saying that at the time? Because I always wonder, and I like... Especially games like this, I'd like to see like what they thought of them in, the 80s,
right,
in the 90s, in the early 2000s when games actually came out, instead of the lens of now where we have zero patience.
Right.
Like the lens of now of zero patience is this game, they get killed one time, this game's bullshit and too hard.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of the mentality of it. So anytime I ever hear like, oh, this game's known for being hard, I'm like, is it really hard or is it just a modern lens when we're so used to quality of life?
Yeah.
But it sounds like this, the convenience. But it does sound like this one, if they were reporting it at the time, and the reviews at the time were like, this is insanely hard.
Kind of like I was talking about at the beginning, though. I feel like this game was like, let's crucify it collectively as a group. That's what, like, upon release, what this game was. This isn't Rondo. What the fuck is this? Crucify it.
Yeah.
I think that has a little bit to do with it, because, like, I'm not an expert. I'm not a god at Castlevania. Like, I play them. I'm good at them, I think. But, like, doable. I'm just an average dude, man. I'm not over here speedrunning and shit. Like, it's going to take time to learn some of the patterns and the bosses. You'll see my footage or some cuts in there, boys. Like, I'm going to be honest. But, like, it's doable, man. This game does do some other fun stuff, too. Like, the item crashes. If you have, like, a special weapon, you can do, like, a super attack where it kills everything on the screen. There's alternate routes. We talked about it a little bit with, like, the rescuing the prisoners and the hostages and all that. There's things that this game does on a Super Nintendo that's kind of ahead of its time. I mean, we're talking CD-based Castlevania games that were doing this did it first. It's pretty cool. My biggest issue with this game is how short it is, though. You got 7 stages. That's with alternate routes and everything. My first playthrough I did on this, I beat it in about 45 minutes. It's with rewinds and stuff. It's kind of unfortunate. You think about like Castlevania 2 in particular, is like a longer game, like 3 hours, 4 hours back then on NES, if you know what you're doing, obviously. But I couldn't really find a reason why they shortened it. I'm assuming it's hardware limitations. If we're talking about Rondo's got like 9 stages. I mean,
they crammed a lot of shit in that cart.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we talk about these other categories, you'll see. Yeah, Rondo's on a CD too. So again, sit there and comparing these games is not fair, dude, at all. My final thing I want to talk about for gameplay is the coolest part of Castlevania games. You finally reach Dracula. It's always supposed to be like this rewarding experience. Like, it's going to be a challenging boss fight. It's going to do really cool shit. This is hands down the worst Dracula boss fight in all of Castlevania games. Every one I've ever played. Basically, there's 6 pillars in the middle, and you have to jump between the pillars. And Dracula throws fireballs at you, he disappears, and he goes to another pillar. And you either have to, like, hit him or dodge him. And that shit goes on forever. Like, I had to trim my gameplay down because it's just literally me jumping or whipping or trying to hide. And then he turns into final form. Yeah, there's always 2 forms for Dracula. I like the way he looks, but like, as far as his attacks, he kind of just stands there. Like, I was able to spam the axe. Just...
Yeah, when I was looking at it, I think... when I watched it, I'm like, okay, Dracula fight. And then, dude, it was so long of just the same wah, 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 wah. And then he materializes on one of the platforms.
Right.
And it's so predictable. Mm-hmm. Like, if I...
3 fireballs.
I'm gonna sit here in a minute. If I was sitting here and playing that shit, I wouldn't have beat it. I would have got my ass beat. But like, watching it on the outside, I can be like, okay, this has a very predictable pattern. He goes wah 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 wah, and you can start seeing the little smoke pop up on which platform he's gonna be on, so you can move, and then time your jump to bait his fireball up high, so you can crouch and miss the rest of it. And then he just closes his little cloak, and then wah 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 wah's away, and then just does it over and over until you get enough hits on him. And then phase 2 happens, and then you get 2 attack varieties. Yeah. The big blue...
Like wave thing, yeah.
Like wave, which looks pretty difficult to hit if you don't... Or it looks difficult to dodge if you don't time that bait correctly, or if you're not set up in a position to where you can jump down to another platform and dodge it going down, but you can't dodge it jumping up. Mm-mm. There's no way. Nope. So if you get stuck in a position where it's going to hit you, you're going to have to take the hit. And then the little 2 fireballs that are kind of larger than the little 3 fireballs. Can you hit it with the chain to get rid of
those?
one?
No, just the small ones.
So I mean, it makes sense that phase 2 is going to be more difficult in terms of like the attack abilities.
But you can spam
But then, watching the spam was crazy. I'm
dude,
like,
when you see mine, you're like, what the fuck? I beat him like 3 seconds. Just
yeah, I was like, oh, cool, this cool. Like, phase 2 form is up here, and he looks like, the sprite looks badass, and then he just he's on the screen for about 5 seconds, and then the game ends. And I'm like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we spam the first phase and make the second one more difficult?
Right.
Like, if we had to pick one to make hard.
Every Castlevania game is exactly how it is. Like, you learn the pattern for the first one, you beat human form Dracula, then he turns into some monster, and you're like, oh shit, here we go. Uh-huh. This is one of the criticisms from back then I do think is valid. Like, this is one of the iconic moments from every Castlevania game. It's like, I finally reached Dracula. Like, here we go. I think it does it better than any other game. It's like, especially the side-scrollers, where it's like, you're kind of doing the same shit. And yeah, it's the same type of game, but like, it mixes it up just enough where it's like, this is going to get really interesting. This is a big black eye on this game, honestly, for me.
I don't know. Is this the kind of game where whoever made it was just like, it's not about the destination, it's the journey?
Maybe. Maybe he's already a crab, bro.
Already crab.
Already crab. Said and done. One other thing to cover really quick. I forgot to bring this up. This is the only game in the Castlevania series where the sub-weapons are completely different. Like, you have the same sub-weapons, but the way you can throw them. So, like, if it's based on the number of hearts you have. Like, let's say you have a dagger, traditional Castlevania sub-weapon. You throw up in the attack button, you'll throw the dagger. But if you have, like, 99 hearts, you'll throw 3 daggers, which is pretty cool. I don't know why they didn't really expand on that in the future, but...
Yeah, it's interesting.
They tried to do different shit with this game, is what I'm trying to say. Like, Rondo doesn't do that. But, like, they tried to do shit to make this game stand out. It's pretty cool. They experimented a little bit, too. So, kudos to the designers in that regard.
It's like when twins experiment on wearing different clothes.
Don't know anything about that.
Or having different beard styles.
This is too meta. Go to the graphics. Go to the graphics.
All right.
Oh, my God.
Got him.
Yeah, you might be making me a believer by the end of this. So, the graphics. I want you to go first. Like, what'd you think, man?
Good. Moving on. I'm just joking.
I was like, what the fuck?
I don't know. What's the general consensus about the graphics?
Super impressive.
From time.
So the time they were like, hey, the standout for this game is the music and the graphics.
Okay.
There was criticism at the time for the graphics of this game because there's not a lot of Mode 7 stuff, especially being a...
Tell the listeners what Mode 7 is.
So basically there's a pseudo 3D effect that the Super Nintendo can do, where it can make it like scroll fast or like vertical. So if you think like Pilot Wings, background Pilot Wings, where it's basically like a spinning pseudo 3D effect, that's Mode 7. Trying to think of other examples. F-Zero. So like the whole game of F-Zero, the whole background where it looks like it's like 3D, and it's moving fast, that's Mode 7.
I mean, those are also games that move fast.
Right.
Inherently. Like, this still had scrolling. It's a side-scroller game where this dude only walks so fast.
Right.
So there's still, like, multi-layer scrolling.
The criticism comes from Castlevania 4 came out first, and it's got, like, the craziest, probably, honestly, in my opinion, the best Mode 7 shit on Super Nintendo. So, again, I think it's an unfair comparison. This is a different game. This is not the same game. It wasn't designed to be the same game. It wasn't designed to be Castlevania 4-2. It was designed to be its own thing. It was designed to play like the NES Castlevania games. Like, other than that, they say the sprite works great. Like, it's nice big sprites. You can tell what everything is.
Mm-hmm.
The fire in the very first stage of the game, I think everyone's like, this is crazy looking because it is. It's. I didn't know when I first turned this game on. I was like, oh my god, like look at this shit. This looks so fucking cool. Like, it's again, it's pseudo 3D. It's not Mode 7, I don't think, but like it looks impressive on a Super Nintendo, man.
I think that if you compare this to something like another game we've done, the Golden X.
Oh yeah.
The Golden X game on Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
The I'm trying to compile my thoughts, but it's not right there. The division of levels. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, the ability for you to figure out what's in the foreground, middle ground, background.
Yeah.
It was not there in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a game that's on a CD. It's got a large amount of space for a large amount of sprites. It's still sprite work.
Right.
It's not any 3D graphics of any kind. It's the design team that just did it poorly. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a Super Nintendo game that very clearly dictates foreground, middle ground, background in every way, shape, or form. And it has all of them moving. It's not just like, oh, one thing's stuck here. Like, you'll be walking by a window of the castle, or a window of somewhere in the castle, and you can see moving behind the window outside is another area of the castle.
Yeah, there's so much cool things. I think, remember the cave level, you're like, oh, did you see the guy grab the bars? Like,
yeah, like in the background, there's like the bars, and there's these little hands that move up and down the bars,
like
just as like background. Yeah, it's just background animation that doesn't interact with anything, but it's just a setting of where it is. The graphics are, I think, one of the best on the Super Nintendo I've seen.
I don't think it's an unfair statement. I think it's up there for me,
everything
too,
was bright, everything was clear, everything was very well made, it's very detailed.
I like the color palette, too, man. A lot of people shit on the color palette for this game because it's not dark and moody like vampires, but, like, there's so much variety. I
like seeing my games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like...
Like, you can have dark, moody, and I hate, oh my god, don't get me started on this. I hate when they try to use color palette as an excuse to blend out a tonal game, and this is why I do not like Fallout. Every single time Fallout's done, use that excuse of, it's post-apocalyptic, though. I'm like, so is Horizon Zero Dawn. Mm-hmm. It's still, like, it doesn't matter if it's post-apocalyptic or vampires in a castle.
Right. Like,
vampires still can have some swag, bro. Okay? Yeah. If they still want, like...
And the Vampire Hunter definitely can.
Yeah,
like,
bougie shit. Like, we're gonna have... Like, I want to be able to see my game for one. Bright colors are not something that we should shy away from.
Yeah. I agree. Even my biggest highlight was, like, the cave level. You can see moss growing and shit. Mm-hmm. The waves, the water's not just blue. There's, like, 3 different shades of blue in it with white crashing. Like, it's very detailed, man. Like, so even, I hate to do the comparison, but like Rondo, I think people like it because it was like a more serious, darker tone. I think this got unfair criticism early on, but now it's kind of everyone's like, whoever said anything negative about the graphics of this game, the graphics are crazy for this game.
Yeah, I don't...
It's one of those where I think it's turned in a little bit more in the favor. I think it's a very modern looking, it holds up. Like, don't get me wrong, there's still some things. But
I mean, that's just kind of how this day and age is you have people who are going back and defending... It's a different mindset.
Yeah. Between
now and what people expected on the Super Nintendo. Like, they expected cutting edge.
Yeah.
And when you don't get it, like, it gets shat over. Just the same how it is now. If you don't get cutting edge out the gate, it's going to get shat all over.
Right.
Even if the game isn't supposed to be cutting edge. Like, that's just what we expect out of everything now.
But even then, like, I hate that argument, too. Like, this holds up way better than Star Fox and Super Nintendo, and that was bleeding cutting edge, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
like,
I mean, that's the mindset of the time. Is Star Fox was better well received because it was cutting edge.
Right.
Even if it's not great cutting edge, they're still like, oh, this is a step in the future, and this is still the old shit. Like, it might be really good looking old shit, but we're done with the old shit. Okay, we want the new shit now. We want that new shitty ass polygon. Like, everybody and their fucking mom was making a game on the PlayStation 1 in any polygon, and it all looks like dog shit, dude. It's terrible. Like, this, you can't just let anybody make a game. All right.
To come full circle back to Castlevania. Same thing tonight. That was like the huge criticism of that game. It's like, why isn't this 3D?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We're not going to make this shit. And now it's an all-timer. So stick to your art. Make your art. But this game in particular, man, I think it's the backgrounds that do it for me. Like, the one I can think of is the clock tower. There's like pseudo 3D cogs that are spinning that you have to jump on.
Well, it's not the cogs, it's the elevator platform.
Oh, those two, yeah.
Yeah, the elevator platform. Well, I guess you had the cogs too, but I remember seeing the cogs for the elevator platform.
Yeah, those are crazy too. But even like, there's so much little like intricate clockwork shit spinning. It's nuts, and it's like it never drops frames. Like, the NES games are notorious for dropping frames. Like, this is like using the Super Nintendo's potential to be like, you're going to get 60 frames the whole time. Like, it's smooth. It's a buttery smooth game. And that, you know, there could be a shitload of zombies. I remember there was one part there was like 9 zombies chasing me. And I was like, oh, this is where I'm going to get my lag. Nope. Never saw it once. Like, I wish other Castlevanias were this colorful and cool, honestly.
I mean, did you get to that point on cart, though?
I didn't. Nope. It's true. That would be interesting to look up. I know M2 did the conversion on the Advanced Collection, and they're like the kings of fixing that shit too.
Yeah, so I wouldn't really put that one. I wouldn't put that too high up on there.
I haven't seen anybody complain about it, but that's a good point, honestly.
Because I mean, you're still gonna get slowdown on the code and emulation regardless sometimes, but emulating the original versus a source port, a source port that's been updated on purpose is very different. So
M2's like, they're the masters of that shit, dude. Like, they'll make a piece of shit run at 60 frames a second.
I mean, because I experienced the Super Nintendo emulation, not any of like the further ports, and I didn't seem to have any slowdown. But then again, I only got on the first level.
Super got your ass.
Yeah, so
I will say the Japanese version has blood. Like, it's very violent. It's pretty cool.
It's almost like it's called Rondo of Blood.
Yeah, dude, maybe. My favorite.
Hey, we can't have that in our Mario game.
No, dude.
All right.
No, even the crosses. You get crosses in the Japanese version. There's no crosses in the English version.
One of the twins is hardcore, and the other one like faints at the sight of blood. We can't have it.
Yeah, dude. Maybe it's what it is. My favorite scene with blood, though, is after you beat. Well, there's 2 different fights you can do. If you don't save Annette, she basically turns into like a demon you have to fight. Or if you do save her, you end up fighting Death himself, the Grim Reaper. And like, after you beat him, his scythe goes spinning in the air and like lobs his head off, and it's just like a splatter trail of blood. Because in the game, it's like white, and I'm like, oh, it's, the US version. I'm like, it's ectoplasm or something, whatever. I don't know.
Oh,
but
man.
then I saw the Japanese version, I was like, whoa! And when you die, there's like blood splat.
Why did they do that? What was the other game they did that to?
It's Nintendo's
Splatterhouse,
yeah,
the white shit.
True. Yep.
And we were like,
sweat.
Come on, man.
Mortal Kombat with the sweat. That was just Nintendo's thing back then. They censored blood and they censored religious elements.
No, I'm talking about the baby tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who made that decision, dude?
Yeah, dude.
You can have any color on the spectrum, and we choose white for whatever fucking reason.
I mean, I want white liquid splatting on me, but that's just me.
Moving on.
Sound and music. I'm gonna steal this one really quick and then get your thoughts, but I think this game's soundtrack is absolutely fucking fantastic. Castlevania is known for having great music, and I was blown away, in particular with Bloody Tears. It's iconic Castlevania track. Hearing a different spin on it come through the Super Nintendo was really fucking cool. This game has a very different sound to it, So Castlevania is always kind of like merged like rock and roll with like orchestra. That's always been kind of like its calling card, right? This one's like a little more upbeat, a little more up tempo, some synths and stuff, but the music's like super clean and super clear. It's definitely not traditional when it comes to Castlevania, but this shit slaps, bro. Like, I immediately went to go look on Spotify. It's not out there, unfortunately, but I could bump this shit all day. I cannot pronounce this name. I already know. Masahiko Kimura, the main composer. He's the same guy that worked on Aria and Dawn of Sorrow. So he's got Castlevania roots in the future. They like the stuff to make him keep working. But yeah, dude, I love the soundtrack for this game. There's so many great songs to choose from. And I think it's like there's different moods, there's different themes. My only criticism towards the soundtrack itself is like Castlevania, anytime you clear a stage, there's always a stage clear jingle. There's not one in this one. But if that's my only negative, like, come on, man. This shit's a banger. Like, there's so many good songs on this game. What do you think?
Oh, I think the music is really good.
Yeah.
It sounded really good for a Super Nintendo.
It's crazy it's coming out of a Super Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
Like, admittedly, like, some of the Castlevania, it's some of my favorite video game music, and I feel like this is, like, upper echelon of Castlevania music. Like, retrospectively, a lot of the reviews and stuff were like, hey, the music's great for this. Like, this is the standout. I don't think that's a crazy statement at all.
Yeah.
Like, the music's fantastic for this.
It's one of those games where it's like, I enjoy listening to it, and I didn't really feel the need to be like, I'm sick and tired of listening to this, let me mute it.
Especially from, like, games from that end. There's a lot of beeps and boops.
Yeah.
This is, like, music, and it's good. Like, it's awesome. Even the sound design, I think, is really cool, too. Like, there's, like, the monsters are yell when you hit them. There's not a lot of repeated sounds. The whip crack's the only one you're going to hear constantly, but it still sounds heavy. It sounds good. It's not like an NES whip crack. It's like it sounds awesome. I think the sound, not just the music, but the sound design is really great, too. Every monster sounds different. And there's a good variety of monsters, too. Like, yeah, there's multiple ones that might come at you at the same time, but you're not going to be like, oh, it's this guy again. So kudos to the sound design team. And Konami, they've always been great at that. They're kind of known for great music and great sound, and I don't think this one's an exception. And it's kind of crazy too because this isn't the A-Team, They were they were getting ready to work on Symphony. This is right in the heart of the Saturn and the PlayStation coming out. So kudos to them, man. Like, this game's soundtrack slaps. And the overall sound, like it's great. Definitely a standout on the Super Nintendo, I think. All right, let's get into it. This is what separates us from the rest. Let's talk about the price and the collectability. All right, Barry, so we know this is an expensive game. As the time of this recording, this is the most expensive game that I own.
Barely.
Yeah, barely, but still.
Barely.
It hovers around...
Stupid.
Yeah, it's complete in box. It hovers around 1,200 constantly. As long as I've owned it, as long as I've seen it. I remember even back in the day, like, do you remember when Funko-Land was, like, clearancing all their Super Nintendo stuff? Might be a little bit of age gap.
Funko-Land.
Yeah, it's a little bit of age gap. I'm sorry. I'm old.
I'm an EB Games
But
kid.
GameStop
I remember EB Games.
GameStop ended up buying Funko-Land, but it was a game store.
Okay,
so
I don't remember Funko-Land.
When, like, the PlayStation came out, they were clearancing, like, all of their Super Nintendo shit. And it was, like, nickels. Like, every game was, like, a nickel, 10 cents. This game was $25 back then. So, like, even back then, it was expensive.
Okay, I think by the time I remember recognizing games being sold in stores, they didn't sell Super Nintendo games new anymore. If I'm thinking. Because a lot of my, like, memories are Toys R Us.
Yeah, well, that was, like, the place to get new games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't... Maybe, but I would have had to been super young.
Yeah.
We had one, obviously. I just don't... I personally do not currently, as of right now, with my lovely, lovely memory, ever remember seeing a Super Nintendo.
Dude, maybe you're going full crab. They don't have memory retention like we do.
Full crab.
Getting there, bro.
I also... was barely functioning when this thing was continued, or discontinued. I'm a PlayStation baby, alright?
Yeah. This is, the birth of the PlayStation. Alright, so loose cart, you're looking at about $250 on the low end. And I will say, I've seen a...
Is that for a clean label or a poopy label?
Poopy label.
Poopy label?
Yep. On the low end. The high end, you're
No
looking
label?
yeah, I've seen no labels sell for 170.
Ugh.
Yeah. I've seen counterfeits sell for that much too, but that's another thing. Like a nice clean copy, cart only about $300, complete in box, you're looking at $1,200, $1,300. I don't care about new. The last box sold for $435.
Just box only?
Box only. So, like, expensive games.
Was it a poopy box?
It was okay. It had some...
It was a mid. It was mid. All right.
But, I mean, I ended up buying this game for, I got a deal. It was $800?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, $850, excuse me. Like, whatever. I ain't mad. Okay. Expensive game. Only way you can play it. Didn't come out on any other consoles back then. Now, in modern times, this was actually first released on the Wii U Virtual... What'd they call it? The Wii U... Why can't I think? What the fuck?
It's just the Wii U Virtual Console.
Virtual Console, thank you, Jesus. And then the 3DS. It was $8. So if you wanted to play this game finally without spending a shitload on the cart, there was an option there. Obviously, those storefronts are closed now, but now we have the Castlevania Advance Collection. I don't know why they tagged it on the Advance Collection, because it's not for Game Boy Advance. I just don't think it fit anywhere else, and they're like, fuck it, we can make a fourth game on here. But it's on there, and that shit's like, $15 used, and you can buy it digitally for like $20-25. So, a great option if you just want to play it. I will say that. Also, if you just want to play it, this isn't my favorite Castlevania game, but I think it takes a whole bunch of unnecessary shit, right? I think people bring Rondo up because it's kind of this, like, it's set on this tier of like, oh, because it's for the super rare console. It's that collector's mindset, right? Where there's people gatekeeping it. And Rondo's a great game. I'm not saying it's not. But to sit there and say that this game's like a total steaming pile of shit, it's unfair. I'd say it's like a B tier game, especially for the Castlevania series. But in this day and age, it's crazy, bro. Like, both are accessible at this point. So that old-ass argument should be left in the past, in my point. So if you want to play this game, there's options to play it. Go for it. I think you should play it, especially if you're a fan of the classic Castlevania games. Go all for it. Now, that being said, if you want to talk about it as a collectible, what are your thoughts? Because I want to save mine, because I have mixed emotions on this one.
No, I'm just trying to see what games are on the Advance Collection. And it's all of the Game Boy Advance games and then this one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe the best reason why it was on that one is because oftentimes, like, Advance was a Super Nintendo port.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we have room to do one more. What's going to get people to buy this? Because it was a limited run. Like, they didn't put that out anywhere else, right? Wasn't it a limited run only?
Yeah, it's only for limited run. So you can digitally download it.
So, I don't know. I can't speculate why that would be on there.
My assumption is because the previous one had, like, the Game Boy games on it and stuff, so it had more games, and they're like, this only has 3, so we can put a 4th on there, maybe. But, yeah, I think it's Game Boy Advance is kind of a souped-up Super Nintendo, so... I
mean, they put Rondo on the other one, right?
Rondo's part of the Dominus collection.
What is the one I'm thinking of that's on the PlayStation?
Just the PlayStation exclusive one? Yeah, it's the Rondo. It's Symphony of the Night and Rondo together.
Yeah.
I think it's called Dominus.
And that came out that came out first, before the Advanced Collection.
Yep.
So, like, and that makes sense. Like, Rondo being almost a disc-based game, too.
Yeah.
But Dracula X was only ever cartridge. Mm-hmm. So...
Then they have the Castlevania Classic. That's the NES ones, the Game Boy ones. Mm-hmm. So, this is like...
To me, personally, I don't know why limited run, and maybe this was maybe like a publisher thing, or who's to say on why that decision was made, but having as many Castlevania games as they were shitting out of their asshole, why did they do Advanced Collection and include Dracula X when they could have done their whole Super Nintendo line of reprinting it with the cart?
Don't give them ideas.
Like, they could have done that with this Castlevania game, and it would have been a huge hit.
Oh, yeah, because this...
A massive one.
If you would have an officially licensed version of this game that's, like, readily accessible, they would have sold that shit like hotcakes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many fucking fakes of this game I see?
Right. And,
more than any, I think.
And we have... Like, they were doing Super Nintendo reprints with the actual carts.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? Maybe this one would have burned up your Super Nintendo like the other ones do, but who's to say... I don't know.
At least you finally got to play Dracula X.
The decision to put this one on that just didn't make sense when they could have just done a whole big blown out, like, you know, first time ever reprinted on the cart again, yada, yada, yada. But that's beside the point. Right. Is this game worth? No.
For the price?
No.
Yeah.
No. Games that should not be worth $1,000. If you ever give me a game that's $1,000, the answer is no.
It's a hard sell.
There can't be anything about this game that would be worth that much money.
So what if I told you this?
It would have to be a one of one.
Dude. Let's not get
one
crazy.
Of one tournament reward, whatever. Only a game, digital only until this. I don't know. That's the only reason. Like, there's no way. $1,000 isn't common people money.
Oh, 1,200, 300. That's the thing. It's past 1,000. It's crazy.
No,
it's a
not.
crazy ask. So here's the thing. What if I told you the Japanese version just for a cart was around $75, $80? And you're not missing any dialogue or anything. There is a scrolling intro, but
I'm not talking about that one.
Well, it's the same game. It's just a Japanese version.
Nope, this is not worth it. No.
I'm just saying, even if you want a copy of this game, like for your shelf, Ajimaju Dracula.
If you want a physical copy of this one, like, sure, I guess.
Yeah. 70, but that's the thing. Complete in box is like $230, $240
for the Japanese one. Yeah.
Vampire's Kiss.
I don't think that's outrageous.
Story. Vampire's Kiss is fucking crazy.
It's the same game.
It's the PAL version, though. Yeah. Hang on. It's the same game as the PAL version.
You saying it's more than Dracula X?
I think so. Yeah. It's about $1,500. And it's got completely different box art and shit. So, like, if you're trying to get a physical copy of this game, I would say grab the Japanese copy. It's literally the only semi-affordable one. It's still a pricier game, but, like, god damn, dude, this is crazy. But I think playing a game for that much money, it's easy.
I mean, this game is only worth that much because of scarcity.
It's genuinely rare, I think. Like, there's not a lot of them. I couldn't find an actual number, but, like, people were trying to scrounge for it back then.
I mean, you gotta scrounge for it, B, the time it came out, and then C, the reviews it got at that time. People weren't gonna go buy this.
Right. So, oh, yeah, especially with that. I will say,
paired with how much Super Nintendo games, like, cost when they came out, they weren't, $40 games. Right. You were competing at the time, because it came out in 96, is that right?
95, September 95.
95,
so like,
and the PlayStation 1...
right there. Yeah.
94.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, it was already out.
December of 94.
Woo! So the Saturn and the PlayStation
So you have a Super Nintendo game that is... I don't want to say generations behind, because that's not kind of really how games worked until the PlayStation 1 era. It wasn't...
It's true.
It had a really long life.
It's the same argument for, like, Panic Restaurant on the NES,
The Dracula X coming out in 95... Right. You said October?
September, yeah.
September. So 9 months after the PlayStation 1.
It's crazy.
Where the PlayStation 1 out the gate was like $40 for a new game.
Yeah.
And you're going to ask people to buy this probably for $80.
Yeah, I don't know what retail for, but
I had to guess it was probably $60 to $80. Yep. They probably didn't print a lot on the first wave because of that reason. And then adding the fact that you probably didn't have a lot printed. Did you look up VG charts to see how many were printed?
I was trying to find. There's no information.
It was not on there. I'm going to guess it was a very small number.
I know it's a small print run.
So it's a small print run number. It had horrible reviews out the gate. And then you've got people who want the next best thing, which is the PlayStation 1, 3D, CD, and a cheaper price.
Right.
It's not going to be difficult to say this game didn't sell well at all.
No.
So, this isn't a game that has a high price, like Earthbound.
Yeah.
Earthbound, I've seen so many copies of. Earthbound being as expensive as it is one of the most fucked up things ever. I don't care who you are. Like, Earthbound...
Yeah, loose cart. I'd say complete box you can justify because it's got a bunch of shit, but the cart, I see
Even then, people describe... people describe going into stores and seeing Earthbound stock that wouldn't move.
Oh, yeah.
The stock is there. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't like a non-printed game. Like, Earthbound was a lot more, I want to say, popular than Dracula X.
Available
is probably a better way to put that. But even then, it's like, no.
So total sales in Japan, 0.05.
So $50K.
North America 0.03.
So $30K.
Europe 0.01.
So $10K.
Holy shit. So 0.09 total. So there's under 1 million copies of this game. Like, whew.
No, there's under 100,000.
100,000. Holy shit. So it's genuinely scarce game. Like, in a beloved franchise, you know. I don't agree with why it costs so much, but I understand why it costs so much, if that makes sense.
I mean, at that point, like, if any game is getting to that point, it is not a game anymore. It's a collectible.
Right. So
you can't look at it as a game anymore.
That was going to be my argument, was like, I'm not paying that much for almost any fucking game.
They go into a whole other category.
Right. And this honestly is kind of hovered around there. Like, games are on the dip right now. This is kind of, it's dipped a little, but it hasn't dipped hundreds of dollars. It's dipped $15, $20, you know what I mean? Even like, so every legit copy of this game I've seen, I hate to say it, but like, I've bought just because it's like...
Only two!
Both legit copies I've seen. Yeah, it's rare, dude. And like, yeah, my first cartridge, I was just happy to get it. I got a great deal on it. It was beat up. But I wanted it. I want the Castlevania games. That's why I bought it. The Complete in Box one was just like a freak of... Didn't think that was ever going to happen. Like, I had the means to do it at the time, so I did. Like, I would not recommend you go out and do that, that being said. However, if you are buying games as a collectible instead of a game, this isn't... Yeah, we're a Collecti-Bros podcast, but like, we play our games, bro. Not your financial advisor. This one's kind of hung tough, I will say, and I think it's got enough. Anytime you run to those top echelon games,
this game's never going to tank down.
Right.
It's never going to tank down.
It's not a crazy buy for an investment.
It's not a game that's going to suffer from a re-release in the price it's going to tank down.
Yeah,
no,
it's accessible now. That's the thing. I think that added to the mystique of this game is like how hard it was to get it. Mm-hmm. You know, but now it's like you can get it. You can go download it right now for $20. Mm-hmm. When you get more games with it for free. And guess what? It's still a crazy price.
These kinds of games go in their own, like, echelon.
It's true.
And so, like, at that point, it stops becoming expensive because it's a game. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to view it as two different things. I think as a game, this game is not worth
it.
At all.
There's no game worth that much. Spoiler for future episodes. It's just a crazy thing. Like, go play it if you want to play it. It's a fine Castlevania game. It's not the best.
It's interesting because, like, as a collectible piece, like, you have a scarcity, you have a resurgence of interest in this bubble that we're in right now, and we have a cult following. Castlevania is not a popular game series. I'm sorry, you're in a bubble.
Not now. Yeah, not now. I think there's like a certain age group where it is, like Nintendo era kids.
And that's what I'm talking about. Castlevania is not a franchise now. It's not nowadays. A popular series. They're not making any more.
Netflix gonna save it.
They're not making anything similar to it. People are interested because of the Netflix, but it's not like a popular game series that people, a large majority of people are saying, we want a new Castlevania game.
You can't even get a new game, bro.
If you're like, bullshit, that's bullshit, we want a new Castlevania game, it's because you're inside of that bubble. Yeah, it is an echo chamber.
It's a Gundam argument.
That's what it is. It's the Gundam argument, right? So it's expensive because the same people are wanting this game. It's not really like new people are coming in. I mean, that one Castlevania, the sealed graded one or whatever that sold for buku bucks. Yeah. It's because the guy who bought it had a history with Castlevania.
Right. He had a personal attachment.
He had a personal attachment to that game and was going to overspend for it. Mm-hmm. And people with those kinds of mentalities for this kind of stuff will do that. Correct. The game's not worth that much. No. A person on the outside's not going to buy that game.
I agree. I'm a Castlevania collector. That's why I wanted this. I got a good deal on it. That's why I grabbed it. I don't recommend you do it unless you're in the same parameters. It's not worth it as a game.
Right.
As a collectible, I don't know if it's going to go up. I don't know if we're going to get a boom.
As a collectible, if you have to look at it through a general public's eyes, this is not very high on the list of what you would go for. Yeah. This is not it.
I think
there's no resurgence for this series, and there never will be. And it's not going to be like, oh, I want to get this game because I can see it going up in the future because of XYZ.
Right.
Right. Maybe you had a little bump up, and maybe not. You could probably look at the sales data for this, but the sales price of this game and what it was going for before Netflix and after probably was a little bump. Yeah. But it wasn't like we were taking $100 game.
But even then,
5 years ago, and now it's $1,000 game because of Castlevania.
Down Castlevania NES games because those are the ones they grew up playing. That's what reminded them. The show reminded them of. You know, no one played Castlevania Dracula X.
Right, but in 20 years, no one's gonna give a shit about those games. They didn't grow up with those games, and people in 20 years didn't grow up with Castlevania because it doesn't exist.
I think this will hold because of what it is, but I don't think it's gonna grow. If that makes sense.
Like,
you know what I mean. It's a bubble bobble 2 argument.
We're gonna get to the point where this era of games turns into Atari.
Yep.
That's just the reality of it.
Yep.
I think this is one of the games that's gonna be the Waterworld of Atari.
Oh, that's Virtual Boy.
Waterworld?
Yeah.
I thought it was Atari.
That's Virtual Boy.
No, what's the Atari game?
Waterworld's a 90s movie.
No, what am I thinking of the wrong
You're
name?
thinking of what's
it was the three different worlds. There's 3 different ones, and that one's the expensive one.
There's a couple Atari games that are expensive, but not very many.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, I know Waterworld's Kevin Costner in the 90s, bro. There's a Virtual Boy game that's expensive.
Atari 2600 is what I'm thinking of.
Yep. No, it's a great argument though. I get what you're saying.
What the fuck game am I thinking of? Waterworld?
The only Waterworld I know is the Virtual Boy.
I swear, dude.
Not by Tom.
You guys understand how well versed I am in fucking Atari. Sword Quest Waterworld.
Oh, I didn't know Sword Quest. I don't know what that is.
Ha! Take that, fucker!
I don't know what that is.
Sword Quest Waterworld.
Look, the Sword Quest is important, all right? I was thinking of the Virtual Boy Waterworld game.
Okay, I'm not making this shit up.
You're doing good.
Hold on. Sword Quest.
Oh, here it is. Damn.
Sword Quest Waterworld, Fireworld, and Earthworld, and Waterworld's the
shit.
most expensive one.
That box art.
Take that, Atari, bitch.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
All right, anyways, I think this is going to be the Waterworld of the Atari games.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be more, right? It's not just going to be like, oh, the only one of the Super Nintendo that anyone gives a shit about is going to be Dracula X. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I think that this game is going to be one of them when some of the games that are in the hundreds are going to drop off and be fucking nothings.
Agree.
So
this is going to like hover in that high topper echelon because of what it is, not necessarily how it plays.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like no one who the fuck can tell me, any collector that's out there collecting Atari stuff, tell me anything about Sword Quest Waterworld. It's not because the gameplay is why you're spending that much. It's because scarcity, it's rare, it's a collectible.
Right.
It's a great argument. I agree 100%. That being said, if you can get a deal on it, it's going to hold. I don't think it's gonna go up. I think
it's a whole game,
yeah.
100%.
Yep.
It is a staple. It is a consistent, and it is a non-fluctuating collectible game inside of Super Nintendo. There's no question about, oh, well, I don't know. Like, everyone has those games in their collections that they buy, and then they took a massive fucking hit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not going to be one of them.
No.
100%.
Especially for, I feel really good about iPad. That's why I pulled the trigger, honestly, because I was like, I don't want to spend this much. And the guy was like, all right, what about this? And I was like, yeah, dude, like, have to at that price. This is the last Castlevania game I needed complete in box. Like, I consider myself a big Castlevania fan. Like, this is one I needed, and I was like putting it off because of what it costs, and never thought I'd get one on eBay. I don't want to buy one on eBay.
This is one of those games where it's not expensive because it's popular.
Right.
And I think a lot of games fall to that. Mm-hmm. I think Pokemon is one.
Yep.
Where, not now, and probably not for a while, but we're not going to see which ones are standing above the rest until a lot later from now.
Oh, yeah, we're still...
And every single, and that's what I mean. Every
yet.
single Pokemon game is expensive because it's Pokemon. Like, we can sit here and argue Emerald for me all day, but you're gonna change your fucking tune when they remake Emerald.
Right.
That's not gonna change. We made Rondo, Marty. It's the same game. Same twin. We remade Dracula X, and it didn't really fluctuate.
Right.
So they're on a different, and that's why I say this game is not expensive because it's popular and people want to jump on the bandwagon.
I agree.
So,
I can't in good faith say this is worth it. It hurts me to say that. I think, again, I'm not going to sit there and tell you to invest your money. As a game, this is not worth it. There's reasons why I did it. If you fit those, sure, do it, whatever. I'm not telling you how to spend your money, live your life, but for me, it is not worth it overall.
I think this game is not worth that price if you don't own it, and if you already own this game, I would say it's worth keeping.
Yeah. If
It's
you
not
get a
worth
deal on it
dumping.
and something you'd rather have and you can flip it and make some money on it, like, go ahead. Crack that bitch open and make sure it's legit, because I've seen literally 5 or 6 counterfeits. It's one of the most counterfeited games. Mm-hmm. You can go on any website, like eBay, wherever, Etsy. It's $30 for a counterfeit. And, like, people try to pass it off. I've even seen more they've ripped the label in the same place and like write the same name on it, and it's like, come on, dude. Like, at least try to make it look. They try to make it look aged and shit. Check them boards if you do see a copy of this game. Good luck if you are looking for one, because it took me years to even find that cart. You know. And
this isn't. I wouldn't buy this game if I didn't have it, but if I owned it, I wouldn't sell it. That's how I'll put this one.
That's a fair way to do it.
Based on the gameplay, like, this wasn't a bad game.
Yeah.
This is a good game.
It's a solid game.
It was a pretty good game.
It took unnecessary shit for sure.
This isn't a game that I, after finished playing, would be like, dear God, why would I have this? Why would I own it?
Right.
That's not one that I would say. And if you're fortunate enough to already have one before this huge threshold
Lucky
changed,
you.
like, this isn't a game that I would suggest selling just to sell.
And make sure you get your top dollar for it, because, like, they don't pop up.
This is not a game that I'm going to tell you can go find and flip. That's for 100% sure.
Definitely.
This isn't a game where someone's going to be like, oh, I confused it with something else. No. Like, you're not going to get... And maybe, you know what? Maybe you are. I don't believe you boys on Reddit that say you find this shit at Goodwill. You can fuck off.
Not anymore.
But you're not going to find this out there and be like, I found Dracula X for $2 at the flea market.
Find some bootlegs.
You're full of shit.
Check that board.
Right.
No, I agree. That's a super fair point. I like it.
So that's just, I'm gonna finality, not worth buying if you don't own it, but not worth selling if you do.
It's like Jack Bros, man. It's like going back to our very first episode. Like, it's almost unfair to judge this thing as a video game, but I'm a video game player. Like, I bought it because it's a video game. I didn't buy it because it's a collectible. So, like, I kind of hate it. You know what I mean? It's like, I will keep it because I love Castlevania, but most people aren't going to think like me. They're going to think, how can I make a buck off of this? Or it's not. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, though. For me,
it's called Collecti-Bros, not Scalpa-Bros.
Right. I'm
Flippa-Bros.
I'm grateful to own this, dude. I really am. And it's like, I paid for it. I sure did. But I understand why it's not worth it for everybody else. I'm happy to have it. I'm grateful to have it. I can't, in good faith, say go out and buy this game. It's a collect to know for me. Bringing that back.
Roll it out, brother.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching however you do it. Please feel free to check us out at Collecti-Bros Pod on all social media. Like and subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Hey, Barry, what's next?
All right, next episode. Speaking of this game, speaking of ports, remakes, remasters, and twins, it's the best and the worst of remasters. Note the word remasters. We aren't going to talk about remakes.
Different things.
They are different things.
Reimagining is different things.
Best and worst of remasters. If you want another episode to hear me bitch and moan, this is going to be it. If you want to hear the words Last of Us cut out of my mouth again, this is it.
Man, that's the thing. Do you think there's going to be enough games to pick from? This console generation particularly? Like, dude, we might be fucked. I don't think there's enough remasters and remakes, dude. Shit.
How many times do we want to talk about Zelda? All right, we're here. We're at it. Yeah. So we're going to talk about remasters. Everybody's favorite word.
Definitely the industry's favorite.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate y'all. Thanks for listening. Batman Beyond outro. Initiate.
Break the glass ceiling. Stay oppressed.
Gamers.
Gamers.
Not collectiblers, because I play video games.